think your business is too niche for AI? I hear this all the time. I'm too specialized. I'm too niche. I'm too old-fashioned. AI is only useful for software companies. It doesn't really apply to us. There's a spider. I don't know if you can see this, guys. There's actually a spider there. Let me just put you down there. Well, let me tell you about a pig farm in Belgium and a vegetable farm in northern Germany. Both of these companies reveal something I think we're all misunderstanding about AI, and none of it has anything to do with ChatGPT. For those who don't know, I'm Nikki, engineer turned entrepreneur. Spent a decade in engineering and automation, and today I work with business owners looking to implement and adopt AI to solve real problems. This is the Singularity, where we look at where AI is going and how you can adopt it right now. Made for business leaders who want to understand what this technology actually means for them. Right, let's start in the obvious place. Pigs. Respiratory disease is a huge problem for pig farmers. Traditionally, you'd catch it because someone would physically walk through the barn and notice something was off. There's subtle cues that tell you that a pig is unwell. Or you'd take samples and you'd send them to the lab. The problem is, by the time you notice something is wrong, the disease could already be spreading. And this isn't a small problem. This can bankrupt some pig farmers. And Iowa State University looked at this between the years of 2016 and 2020. Now, I know this is distant and over the pond for us Brits, but transpose that into the British industry. They estimated it was costing the US pork industry around £1.2 billion per year. And the common solution to try and combat this was to test the pigs more often. So a Belgian company called SoundTalks approached the problem a little bit differently. They didn't ask, how can we inspect the pigs more frequently? They asked, what are the pigs already telling us? What data points could we pick up on that everyone else is missing to try and diagnose this earlier? And the answer is incredibly simple, but incredibly intuitive when you think about it. They cough. Like humans, they cough when they have a respiratory disease. So they put microphones in the barn alongside with temperature and humidity sensors. And the system listens 24/7, non-stop. And they use AI to separate all the other farm noises from this specific coughing noise. And it watches very closely for changes, and using this data, it can create a respiratory health score. And the second something looks a little bit unusual, the farmer gets an alert. And SoundTalks claim, I haven't verified this, that this can pick up on respiratory disease up to 5 days earlier than the common methods. 5 days. And when a disease is moving through hundreds of thousands of animals, 5 days matters. And here's the thing you need to remember. The pigs were already coughing. SoundTalks didn't invent the data. The signals had always been there. It was just unrealistic for a person to sit in a barn 24 hours a day just to monitor for this respiratory disease. It's not that that would have been useless. It's just it's too expensive for someone to do on their own. AI completely changed that. And keep that in your head because we're going to come back to it later on in this episode. Brain's already going crazy here and you thought of some cool use cases. Let me know in the comments. Let's go to Germany. Westhof Bio, family-owned organic vegetable farm in northern Germany. Around 1,200 hectares, hundreds of workers, big business. And they had a very expensive problem, weeds. Because they're organic, they don't rely on dangerous herbicides, which means they have to deal with weeds in a slightly different way. Historically, this may have been manual labour. More people in the fields, physically going out there and looking for them and removing them. And this was costing this business £200,000 per year. So in 2014, they partnered with a local university and started to develop a robot. It drives through the fields with cameras pointed down at the crops. These cameras, powered by AI, can instantly detect whether you have a weed or whether you have a crop. Here's the really fun part. When a weed is detected, it literally uses a depth laser to burn the root so it can't grow again. No herbicide, no pulling it out, and no need to disturb the soil. Since this was in 2014, we now have some real-world numbers to be able to put to this. A 2026 field validation study worked out that this was over 85% effective, meaning this system could detect 85% of the weeds in that field. And the laser, the depth laser, killed 95% of them. So this isn't just a cool prototype, it's actually working in a field. And I think this alludes to the bigger opportunity that most businesses are going to have. They're going to use AI to solve a problem that's niche to their business and then look at other ways you can expand out. And that's exactly what Westhof did. They created another company, Nature, I'll put it on screen. And the sole purpose of this company is to commercialize this exact product. This deaf robot laser who can detect weeds with 85% accuracy. Built it for themselves, then realized other farmers are having this exact issue. If this sounds familiar, that's because most B2B software also follows this playbook. They implement the software to solve a niche problem within their business, realize other businesses are having this problem, and expand out and productize. Slack started out as a cool little internal tool within a games company. MailChimp came out of the web design business, and Basecamp came out of a design agency trying to solve the internal project management. So if you're listening and you're looking at your business and you have a very expensive problem, build something for yourself with AI. It's never been cheaper, easier, and more accessible to do so. And the beauty is, once you've built it, you can then sell it to either your competitors or to the wider market. To answer the question in this title, that's what B2B SaaS has in common with the German farm. I could end the episode here. Look at these cool ways farms are using AI. Interesting, but not particularly useful. Both of these stories point to something much bigger. A larger idea or concept I've been toying with over the last few months. And this is something that ordinary people and ordinary businesses are just starting to get access to. We have huge amounts of data already available to us. Cameras, microphones, health kits, reviews, sensors, bookings, the list is endless. We're producing and capturing data constantly, and most of this data may just seem useless on the surface. And in isolation, it probably is. This isn't because it doesn't contain anything valuable, but just working through all this data historically has been too difficult, too slow, or too expensive. You could record every customer call, but who's going to go through the transcript? You could have CCTV over your entire production line, but who's going to go through the footage? You got 20 years of maintenance records. Who's realistically going to go through all of them? The information exists, it's just scattered everywhere. And this is where AI changes things drastically. AI can listen. AI can sift through thousands of data points. And the most important thing of all, it can now compare two sets of data which live in two completely separate places. That's what makes niche industries really interesting to me, because the scarce thing may not be technology anymore. It might be knowing which dots are worth connecting together. Take Westhof. A random AI engineer or big tech company probably doesn't understand organic farming. They don't know which process is costing that farm hundreds of thousands of pounds a year. They don't know what the farmers complain about. They don't know the jobs that farmers have just accepted because it's always been that way. The farmer does have the domain knowledge. The electrician has it. The nurse has it. The warehouse manager has it. The restaurant owner has it. The accountant has it. These people understand problems that people outside of their industry may never know exist. And AI is giving these people the ability to do something with that knowledge and build something really valuable. And that's what I find really interesting. And also one of the main reasons why I started this podcast. I think some of the most valuable products to come out over the next few years won't be from some tech genius or business development manager. It'll be from an ordinary person in an ordinary job saying, hang on. And they wouldn't be asking the question, what can AI do? Or what business should I solve? They'll be asking questions like, why the fuck are we doing this still? Or asking, hang on, we've been collecting this data for years. Why are we not doing anything with it? A nurse may ask, what are the busiest times in the ward? And look at the other factors which may cause this. A chief may look at the clocking times of his crew and then look what was on the menu at the station that day. And I really hope this prompts some business owners to look at processes they've been doing just because that's how they've always done it and start looking at it in a new light with this new technology. And figure out, is the blocker to improving this now removed with the advent of AI? Because I think it has. And that's actually changed how I look at problems myself. I don't look at a business and say, where can I use AI? I look at one expensive process we've all just accepted as normal. Then I ask, what information already exists around that problem? And then what other information could be connected to it? What other correlations can we make? Because that's the pattern I keep seeing over and over. The pigs are already coughing. The temperature and humidity is always there. The breakthrough wasn't discovering pigs coughed. It was being able to continuously monitor those signals together, the pigs coughing and humidity, and turn it into something truly useful. And I'm not saying go and start building a laser robot, although that would be really fun. Westhof did that back in 2014. They've had plenty of time to do it. SoundTalks goes back even further than this. These are serious engineering projects. And more importantly, they were solving problems expensive enough to justify this investment. And that's not really the point. The point is the barrier between I understand this problem and I can create something using that knowledge is getting lower and lower. So, is your business too niche for AI? Probably not. In fact, the weird little things you understand about your industry is probably what's going to be your next opportunity. A Belgian company realised pigs were already giving off signals about their health. A German company realised that AI could detect weeds and used robot death lasers to kill them. The data was already there. The problem was already there. They just connected the dots and ultimately created something valuable and useful. This deserves an episode on its own. So that's exactly what we're going to go into next. How you find the data and connect those dots. How you're going to find useful data that's already scattered within your business or your life. How do you work out which pieces may be connected? How can AI help you interrogate them? And then more importantly, how you turn those connections into something genuinely valuable and hopefully something fucking profitable. And I'm going to show you some real examples of something I've been working on. And I knew the data I needed to solve this existed. It's just about connecting the dots and gathering enough to make useful insight. So that's the next episode. If you want to see it, subscribe. This has been the Singularity. Welcome in. There's no going back.